My goodness, it's nice out. It is very cold. It is not warm anymore. So let's get into the video. Seasonal depression, or seasonal affectiveness disorder, is a recurrent major depressive disorder where episodes of depression happen in the same season each year. Sometimes it's called the winter blues, which I think is just a very apt name for it. So, seasonal affectiveness disorder, for me, usually every winter starts around September. I can start to feel it, and it goes on top of my regular depression, which just really just sucks. So a couple of things that happen are I'm usually more tired, usually less motivated, kind of lethargic, just not really feeling like getting outside. My depression is like a lot worse. My procrastination gets a lot worse. So those are some of the ways that it affects me, and it usually happens every single winter. This winter hasn't been too bad. So those are some of the ways that it affects me. And 1 second. Okay, so I asked a couple of people on Snapchat. I just put this little thing out and I said, hey, who else struggles with this? And I got like a surprising amount of responses. And so I just asked a couple of them some questions like, what happens? Are you diagnosed with anything? So these are just a couple of the answers. And I just thought it was really interesting how many other people struggled with it. So at first I was a little bit surprised, but then I looked up some of the numbers. So it turns out that 1 to 2% of the population struggles with seasonal affectiveness disorder. And I was thinking that wasn't a lot, but 2% of 7 billion is still quite a bit. But then looking more into it, 10 to 20% of the population struggles with the winter blues. So that might mean getting a little bit more sad when winter strikes. Maybe depression kind of kicks in once the sun starts to set a little bit earlier. Maybe that's struggling through the winter just a little bit more. And that's an even bigger amount. 10 to 20% of the population is just a crazy amount. So it's a real issue. So it affects a large percent of the population, blah, 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 but how do you deal with it? So there are a lot of coping skills to deal with seasonal affectiveness disorder, and I think these two guys might have two of the best ideas. Let's take a look.
Bob and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet.
Hi folks, I'm Bob Schrupp, physical therapist.
Brad Heineck, physical therapist.
Together we are the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion, of course, Bob.
Today we're going to discuss the 5 best tactics to beat SAD, that's seasonal affective disorder.
I'm not going to go over the whole video, but they basically have 5 pieces of advice to combat seasonal depression. Now, I think a couple of them are better than others, but you can go, I'll put the video in the description and you can go watch it yourself. But the couple that I really, really do like are, one of them is to get happy light, or sometimes it's like called a vitamin D light or a sad lamp. Basically, you can turn it on and it just emits like a light that kind of imitates the sun. And it has different modes. This one's not super fancy, but it really does help. So you're just supposed to like have it on while you're inside doing things, just kind of pointed at your face, and I will sing its praises all day. This one is Verilux, kind of simple, but it really does help. And then their second piece of advice is to just be outside. So around here, the sun sets at like 4:30, but from like 8 until 4:30, there's still like a good amount of sun. And so just getting outside, getting out in the sun, going for a walk, things like that, absorbing that sunlight, it does wonders. Or if you don't feel like going outside, even just sitting near like a window that faces the sun, something like that, so you can just get those good rays. So those are some of the ones that they say. I think those are really good pieces of advice. So honestly, the more research that I do into this, I think the numbers are closer to like 20 to 30% of the population suffers from a more milder form of seasonal affectiveness disorder, so like the winter blues. And that's so many people that are getting affected by the sun going down earlier, the weather getting colder, snow hitting the ground, all that stuff. And we're in the middle of a pandemic, so there's less stuff to do. That's just crazy to me. Anyway, I kind of wanted to show visually what seasonal depression kind of looks like for me. So, cue the voiceover and the cinematics. Let's go! So for me, seasonal depression goes on top of regular depression, which makes it so much worse. It feels like all of my creativity, my spunk, my energy, my drive just fades as soon as it starts getting dark at 4:30, or as soon as the cold hits in September, October, or as soon as the snow falls. Just all fades away. And it's so frustrating. Not all hope is lost though. Fortunately, there are things that I do to help me out. A while ago, I saw a video talking about the first thing you should do each morning is make your bed, so that you can feel like you've accomplished something and you can get off on the right foot. And so every morning I usually try to make my bed. It's a little small thing that seems pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of the day or my life, but it does help me a lot. My sad light also really helps. I also really love going for drives, especially nowadays with the pandemic happening and trying to self-isolate. Going for drives are either very energizing, or they can also be very relaxing. I'm not telling you to do any of these things. I'm not saying that they're gonna cure anything, but they do help me a lot. And so far, this winter, while it has been tame, has still been one of the best winters of my life. And I think it's because I'm using a lot more of the skills that I have now. Some of the best advice that I can give myself, honestly, is be prepared. You know, as surprising as it seems, winter does happen at the same time, roughly the same time every single year. So do what you can to prepare. Get into that therapy session, or get the happy lamp, get the salt lamp, get a deck of cards beforehand. Just make sure that you're ready for it. A little bit before I started filming, it actually started snowing outside for the first time in like a month and a half, 2 months or something. I don't know. So we'll see how that goes. It might definitely negatively affect me, but we'll see. I make these videos for a couple different reasons. One, to practice like different filming and editing techniques and storytelling techniques. And then two, it's very cathartic for me to make videos like this. So the one about procrastination was like me, so like the one about procrastination, that was really good for me to just go through that process, and it ended up taking me a year, but I followed through. And this one about seasonal depression. It's just really good to get me thinking, and I don't necessarily make these videos for other people, but personally, it's good for me to read the statistics and read how many people struggle with it, and just kind of personally know that I'm not the only person in the world that gets even worse when winter comes. So if you didn't get anything out of this, I don't care. I did it for me. But if you did, that's awesome. And just know that you're not alone. It affects a lot of people, and I would say get outside as much as you can. Maybe get one of the happy lights. Things I like, drawing, playing solo games, solitaire, things like that. Netflix is good. Just make sure that you monitor it a little bit. Going for drives, listening to music, working on creative projects like this have been enormously helpful. Talking with friends, FaceTime, Zoom calls, Discord, that kind of stuff. So I think that's it. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Seasonal depression's got me sleeping off the days, and I've wasted